Hello, and welcome to this week's edition of Vanguard News. I'm Marcus Etienne.
And I'm Viktoria Capek-Grey. On the first day of the semester, people across the United States witnessed the total solar eclipse, and University of North Georgia students and faculty were fortunate enough to see it over all campuses. We sent Colin Hubbard and Kaylin Walden to the Dahlonega campus to observe the event.
Students, faculty, and the surrounding community gathered on the drill field at the University of North Georgia Dahlonega campus Monday, August 21st, to view the total solar eclipse that made its way from Oregon to South Carolina. The time-lapse shows the darkness that swept across the campus and lasted for roughly 2 minutes. The campus was on the path of totality at 99.7%. Although the sky was not completely dark, the darkness caused automated lights on the buildings to turn on during that 2-minute time period. At the height of the eclipse, the moon never fully covered the sun, making a diamond ring effect. After the total eclipse had finished, we asked the UNG crowd what they thought about the historical event.
I thought it was going to be longer and that it was going to get darker, but it was still pretty cool. I mean, kind of like once in a lifetime kind of thing, so I thought it was kind of cool.
Actually, I think it was better because I thought it was going to get as dark, but it did. And we saw some stars and heard the crickets, so I was satisfied with that.
Yeah, I thought it was going to get a little darker, but it was still really cool to see just dust slowly settle in.
It's cool to see how much that little bit of sun kept it bright, because I thought it would be pitch black, but it's still bright outside. It's also cool to see the sunset almost rising.
Twilight at 2 o'clock was definitely an experience. I'm glad I came out here to see it.
It's cool to see everybody come together and out in the fields and have a community event where we all get to witness something. It's something that doesn't happen for another 400 years. So it's cool to see everybody come together and experience something like that.
It was way more than what I expected it to be. No, it was nice. I was standing up by the building and the lights came on the building and it got sort of a coppery dark. It didn't get totally dark, which I think a lot of people were surprised that it didn't get darker, but yeah, it was what I expected.
Labor Day weekend was an opportunity for students and faculty to take a break before the busy part of the semester starts. Let's go to our correspondent, Kaylin Walden, to find out how everyone spent their weekend.
This past weekend, students and faculty enjoyed a 4-day break after the start of the semester. I went around campus to find out how everyone spent their free Monday.
What did you do for Labor Day weekend?
Basically usual. Spend time with family, cook out, and hot dogs and burgers, and grill meat on the grill.
One of my friends had a little cookout, so we just sat there and watched movies and then a football game later, so it was fun.
It was good. I went to Dragon Con and got on the boat, got sunburned.
I went flying with my dad, and then we went to the lake. And then on actual Labor Day itself, I basically just slept all day.
I tried to think of jokes for Labor Day, but couldn't think of any.
It was good. All we do is grill on Labor Day weekends, and me and my mom went shopping, and then I went to the mall. So, yeah.
I spent my time, you can't see the scars, they're so hideous, I've got them covered up, but I was basically yanking out rose bushes and reconfiguring a backyard area. So that's what I spent my weekend doing. That and watching football.
So for Labor Day, I spent time with my family. I went to Dragon Con, which I'm a nerd, so it's so much fun. And then I went to the lake with a bunch of my friends.
Now that Labor Day has passed, the semester is in full swing and without a break until November.
Hall County's local hotspot, downtown Gainesville, has been hard at work lately to create a new environment from what many may associate with the historic Gainesville Square. Many changes occurred over the summer, including the installation of a hip and new club-like bar, 37 Main. This past weekend, I decided to pay 37 Main a visit to see what all the hype is about. 37 Main proved to be the place to be if you were a regular to the Gainesville Square this past summer and into the new school year. The Gainesville location opened up in mid-June, following the success of the bar's Johns Creek and Buford locations in hopes of attracting a wide array of people in the area.
We primarily lean towards anywhere from 21 to I would say about 55. With our 80s leaning music, we definitely bring in a little bit of an older vibe as well, but also a lot of younger people who appreciate classic good music.
37 markets to everyone by having weekly deals such as Taco Tuesday and Wing Wednesday, and, as heard in the beginning, hosting the Dueling Pianos music and comedy show every other Thursday. Every weekend brings in local bands from the area who often cover music from Bon Jovi, Pat Benatar, and Journey, along with many others. After the bands finish playing, a DJ comes out to play music for the bar's younger audience up until last call.
And there she was. We do a variety of bands. We have everything, like I said, from the 80s leaning rock and roll style music, but we also bring in more current fun stuff, and then we have the DJ that ends it off at night. So I would say just the all-around good time.
Most people don't think twice about the open carry alcohol outside of bars and restaurants once it's a game day in a big university city. But our local city hall decided they wanted to shake things up a little bit in Hall County and change the way some things are run. During her visit to the square, Vanguard reporter Viktoria Capek-Grey spoke to local restaurant servers and owners to hear their thoughts on the city's changes.
The Gainesville Square, known to many as the heart of life in downtown Gainesville, Georgia, located in Hall County, has recently changed things regarding their alcohol laws. On Wednesday, August 16th, starting at noon, an ordinance was passed allowing the open carry of alcohol purchased from a downtown business as long as it is carried in a 16-ounce plastic cup within the borders of Jesse Jewell Parkway, E.E. Butler, Academy Street, and West Academy Street from the hours of noon to midnight. Many restaurant owners and servers in the square had similar thoughts to share on the subject.
I think it's a great idea. I think it's very, very positive and forward-thinking. I think that there's a lot of revenue that comes from alcohol sales from places on the square. And, you know, looking out for the future of our city, I think it's a really, really good step in the right direction.
I think it's a great idea. We actually went to many of the city council meetings on that and everything like that. And it's going to do nothing but do more business on the square, I believe.
Prior to the law being passed, the first weekend of every month allowed the open carry of alcohol within the same parameters. Certain restaurants on the square, such as Luna's Fine Dining Restaurant, previously held events like Jazz Jam, where multiple jazz musicians come together to perform during dining hours, in coordinates with the previous open carry weekends to attract more patrons. Some workers at Luna's restaurant do not think that the new open carry law will take away from their events like Jazz Jam, and will continue to bring in revenue regardless.
As a server, I think it's a great thing because it brings us more business, and I think it just provides an opportunity for people to be more social, and it just is a good thing for the weekends.
I think it's going to be a prosperous idea. We'll see what happens. We never had it before.
The response to the new Gainesville alcohol ordinance has been overwhelmingly positive and stands hopeful in the eyes of many.
I think it's just going to get better and better on the square.
Nighthawk Fest was last week. Presidents of clubs at North Georgia had the opportunity to recruit and advertise their clubs. Our correspondent, Marcus Etienne, went to the event to see how it went.
Last week was Nighthawk Fest. I talked to some of the presidents to get some of their thoughts about Nighthawk Fest and see what some of their goals and some of the events for the upcoming semester. This is what they had to say.
And I'm the president of the Student Alumni Association, which we just changed our name to STAT. Stands for Students Today, Alumni Tomorrow. It seems to be a lot of people in the room, maybe because it's very small, a small amount of room that we have. But it seems like we have a bigger turnout than last year when we had our Nighthawk Fest outside. Okay, so besides changing our name, we're planning on doing a mentorship program where we get students based on their majors and we pair them up with mentors who have already graduated, so like old alumni who used to come here way back then. So we want to partner them up so they can know what is expected with each of their fields, so they know exactly what they want to do or what they don't want to do.
The president of the Latino Students Association, LSA for short. Two big events that are coming up this fall semester. Of course, Hispanic Heritage Month is coming up from September 15th through October 15th. So through that time, we're going to be hosting a lot of range of different events. But our two biggest events so far is the Expo, which is going to be September 13th, and our Great Latino Debate, which is October 14th and 15th.
Well, our biggest event is the Costume Ball. That's October 26th in the Student Center Ballroom from 7 to 11. It's free food, free admission, and the best costume gets a prize. We also have a dodgeball tournament the Thursday before the Costume Ball, and we're really excited about those two events.
I'm Marcus Etienne, Vanguard News. Cross country is right around the corner. I talked to the head coach of the North Georgia's cross country team to get his thoughts on the upcoming season. The women's UNG cross country season is approaching. I talked to Coach Williams to see what's his thoughts about the upcoming season. This is what he had to say.
The majority of girls are returning.
Okay.
Out of my top 7, I only lost one senior, which was Caitlin Cannell. Brittany Truitt, my #1 runner from last year, and actually for previous 3 years, is back as a senior. She's a 5th-year senior. She had a redshirt year because of injury. So she's my #1 runner. My #2 and 3 runners are back, and Emma Brown and Michaela Ellis. Jenna Tilton, who's a senior, is back as well, and she's been in my top 7 since her freshman year. So I have a lot of experience returning. So that's very positive for our program. Well, our goal is to go to nationals. We did that in 2014. It's a difficult task. They want to win conference. So what we're trying to do is overall get stronger and be able to hold a fast pace for a longer period of time. So our goal, we're taking something from the Atlanta Falcons, and we want to improve 1%. We want to go from 86% to 87% effort, and to us that would be 15 to 17 seconds improvement in a 5K. So if we can go through 3 to 6 weeks and make that change, and hopefully the next 3 to 6 weeks we can make the same change, we can improve 30 to 40 some seconds in a 5K, which is huge. So that's kind of our goal. We're going to do incremental steps and try to improve over what we did last year. And that's kind of our sport. The girls identify themselves of what their 5K time is. When they talk and they, trade, oh, what was your PR? And they'll come out and say, oh, it's such. So they are working towards improving their times over last year.
The Ladies Nighthawks' first meet will be at 6 p.m. on September 1st at Oxford, Alabama. I'm Marcus Etienne, Vanguard News.
Soccer season just started, and our correspondent Marcus Etienne talked to Coach Paris before the season started to get his thoughts on the upcoming season.
The men's UNG soccer team season is approaching. I talked to Coach Paris to see what his thoughts about the upcoming season. This is what he had to say.
Well, we have I believe 7 seniors coming back. We have Ivan Achamovich, we have Luda Erickson, Michael Lacken, Daniel Bennett, Daniel Joyce. Who else am I missing? Rami Becky. So it is a senior-laden class with 7 guys. We have Zach Tibbs returning, and Zach Tibbs is out for the season due to injury.
They get injured during practice during the summer or something?
Spring, when the injury took place, but obviously his leadership, it will be needed. with our team. He's part of the brotherhood, part of the family, so I'm glad he's with us, and his leadership ability will be good for our team. Michael Akin and Ivan Achamovich are returning goal scorers outside of Eddie Hurst and Matty Shafta, who graduated. So those are the top two guys coming back that had helped us score some goals last year.
Gotcha. And to who's injured again? What's his name again?
Zach Tibbs.
Zach Tibbs. So what type of injury was it?
Well, that's the kind of information I can't really talk about in regards of laws.
Okay.
But he's out for the season, my friend. I think if you're talking about tactics, I think the strength of our team is in our midfield. Last year we had to play in a system that benefited guys like Matty Shafto. He wasn't gifted athletically with a lot of pace, but he was a magician with the ball, and we had to find a system that would work for him so that we could benefit as a team to win games, and that's what we did. This year, we're playing in a different system, a system that we used, sometimes last year, but this year our strength is in our midfield, so we cater to that in order to give us the biggest advantage in the games coming up this season. And with that being said, every game is going to be different, where we may have to change the tactics up or the system of play up in regards of our opponent or our strength of our team. One of the team goals that the boys came up with, finishing top 4 in the conference. The boys also would like the opportunity to finish above 500, allowing them to possibly seek out their first NCAA berth, which has never been done in the history of our program. They do know that they have to defend home very well, like a fortress. That was one of the goals that they came up with. And they also know they have to score goals as well. So all these little subset goals will lead to the big goals of, one day getting a regular season championship or finishing top 4, but finishing top 4 may allow us to finish 1 or 2 to allow us to possibly get a higher seed for the NCAA berth, if possible, by finishing within the top 6 in the Southeast region. So these goals that they set are not easy task goals. These are goals where mentally you have to be focused and do your job every day, whether it's in training or when it's time to play under the lights.
I'm Marcus Etienne, Vanguard News. The University of North Georgia men's soccer team hosts Eckerd College in their home opener last Saturday and looked to improve to 2-0 of this season with the win. I, myself, and Colin Hubbard went to the lawn to look at the action.
The UNG Nighthawks men's soccer team hosted Eckerd College last Saturday in their home opener. The Nighthawks were coming off of a 1-0 win against Southern Wesleyan University just 2 days prior and were hoping to make it a 2-0 start with a good performance against the Tritons. Both teams were flying around the field to start the game, but it was the Nighthawks that nearly drew first blood. A nice cross by UNG nearly put the Nighthawks up 1-0 early, but a good save from Eckerd goalie Alex Scott kept them off the board. Alex Grant of UNG got a nice pass from Gustavo Alencar, who then managed to hammer the ball past Gott and into the back of the net, but their 1-0 lead didn't last for long. The goal was eventually waved off due to an offsides call on the Nighthawks, keeping the game scoreless midway through the first half. Juan Tejada had a prime opportunity to put the Tritons up 1-0 minutes later with a penalty kick attempt, but the Nighthawks keeper Cade Minton came up with 2 tremendous saves to keep the game scoreless. Then things got weird. The Nighthawks lined up for a free kick from 2 feet away, but were unable to get the ball through the wall of the Tritons. These opportunities proved costly for the Nighthawks, as the Tritons quickly went down the field and scored the game's first goal with 9 minutes remaining before halftime. Down 1-0 to start the second half, the Nighthawks quickly gave up another goal to the Tritons, this time on a ball that was crushed past Minton to put them up 2-0. After giving up a third goal later in the half, the Nighthawks came close to getting on the board but could never quite get the job done. The Nighthawks eventually fell to the Tritons 3-0 to fall to 1-1 on the season.
We didn't do our jobs today. As As I mentioned earlier, 3 goals that were scored were goals that were done at a rookie level. And with veterans on the field, we expect our guys not to switch off in those moments. And those are tactical things that we talked about during halftime in regards of make sure your goal side, make sure you're there on the weak side protecting the goal. And just silly mistakes. We made the game more complicated than what it was. As you mentioned earlier, we should have scored, well, the goal that was scored and called back. Maybe if we scored that goal, maybe the game is different. But once again, not to take anything away from Eckerd, they had a very good game plan. We did not adjust well. Even though adjustments were made, we just couldn't execute. And execution at this level is needed, and we weren't elite today.
I know you have kind of a goalie battle here. You have several goalies that you can put on at any time. How do you assess your goalie? He made the great penalty kick save there and the rebound save as well. So how do you assess his play today?
We have competition on Monday coming back. We had some players out, and those players are now in the running for the #1 spot. And I think, once again, it's consistency. You make a great save on a penalty, but then, we pick up the ball and a pass back. It's decision-making, paying attention to the details, and elite teams that pay attention to the details will go far. And teams that are average will continue to chase getting above 500. But once again, I think it's a very good learning experience in the beginning of the year in order for us to fix. In our quest in going to Charlotte this week and Anderson next week to try and get some results on the road.
To those not already on a sports team, there are many other opportunities to join physically active clubs on all UNG campuses. In Gainesville, you can find one man that runs 2 sword-based combat clubs. We sent Vanguard correspondent Cody Rogers to check them out.
Star Wars is loved by millions of people across the planet, but most people aren't as passionate about it as Gio Arroyo. He loves the iconic film so much that he started his own lightsaber training class, the Imperial Saber Academy. This isn't the only sword-based combat class he hosts, though. He is also the leader of the fencing club here on the UNG Gainesville campus. He combines his knowledge of Star Wars and fencing to teach others how to properly wield a lightsaber.
I was just enthusiasts that enjoy Star Wars a lot, and I found out that there was a lightsaber league, if you will, that is nationwide called the Saber Legion, and they do lightsaber combat. I decided to start my own kind of like class just because I enjoy it, and I wanted to go to Dragon Con, right, where they actually hold like lightsaber duels all weekend long. I'm also the captain of the fencing club here at North Georgia, and so I basically teach the exact same skill sets that I use for fencing and lightsaber, and they translate very, very well. Our classes are usually held over at Celestial Studios in Gainesville on Saturdays. This past summer, they were on Saturday mornings from 11 to 1, but they had to change. We had to change the time slot and all of that, and because Dragon Con was coming up and we were going to be there, and the fall semester started, we're probably going to hold them still over there, just at a different time slot, if they allow us to do it on the weekends, which she said she had slots, so that's probably where they're going to be. Currently, I'm going to try to have classes here on Tuesdays and Thursdays along with the fencing club, because like I said, those 2 skills translate really well, and maybe even have something a little different over at the pavilion right here on campus. Okay. Yes, all the time. I have a couple of guys, at least one of the other members of the fencing club has one, so we get to mess around every now and then when we're just, not in serious training mode. Oh, Dragon Con was awesome. They had Dragon Con was awesome. They have this party called the Last Party at Alderaan, where we had security and everyone was just chill about us dueling, as long as we weren't trying to actually hurt each other. And I heard from some of the other guys that those went on all 3 days, for 3 days straight, just over at the Hilton Steps. I'm trying to get something organized over there where we have like an actual tournament, but I do know that the Saber Legion here in Georgia, they're going to have a couple of unofficial tournaments that I'm definitely going to participating over in Alpharetta.
It's that time of year again, where people gather for 4 days downtown at DragonCon. We went to Chris Meek, who attended DragonCon this year, to find out more about this annual event.
DragonCon has become a well-known gathering in downtown Atlanta that lasts for 4 days at the beginning of every September, with many people traveling from all over the United States to attend this yearly get-together. Over the years, DragonCon has grown in attendance and notoriety. In fact, DragonCon is known for bringing together the biggest collection of nerds in the United States. While attending DragonCon this year, I decided to interview a few people to find out what they thought about the con and what some of their favorite things to do while there.
What's your favorite part of DragonCon?
My favorite part of DragonCon is actually Buffy Horror Picture Show, which is happening tonight, where we act out the Once More with Feeling episode, and it's playing beside us.
Awesome. And how many years have you come to this?
This is my third year.
While there are celebrity guests people can go to see and get autographs from, there are also panels that have celebrity guests discussing the shows that they might be on, answering fan questions, and even possibly revealing information on upcoming episodes or seasons. However, with this year's DragonCon numbers at over 100,000 attendees, many people had to stand in line for over 2 hours just to get the chance to get a seat in some of those panels. Just like these individuals in a line that was wrapped around the building, with over 2,000 people trying to get in to hear from a few actors from the Guardians of the Galaxy sequel that released earlier this year. However, not all attendees were there for fun. Some of them were there on the job, using this packed con to their advantage to get people interested in their businesses and provide discounts or information, hoping to gain customers even after the parties and fun ended.
So, what's your favorite thing about DragonCon?
My favorite thing about DragonCon is finding people who I didn't realize I was in love with. Like finding a comic book artist I didn't realize I'd read all of his stuff, or an actor who had been in several series I've been in. That's my favorite. It's just all the surprises.
That's awesome. And how often, what year is this for you?
This is my third year being at DragonCon.
That's awesome.
So until next year's DragonCon, many people will leave after this weekend with a smile on their face, remembering the fun they had and the new friends they made. Until next time, this is Chris Mink from DragonCon 2017, signing off.
Northeast Georgia's little piece of Broadway, the Gainesville Theater Alliance, just released their fall production list, revealing its shows, cast, and crews for the semester. Theater patrons can now begin to look forward to fighting battles alongside soldiers in Shakespeare's Macbeth, exploring the Indian wilderness in the Wonder Quest Kids series show, The Jungle Book, falling in love with the topic sensation of the musical Crazy for You, and getting lost in the Grimm's fairy tale world of Mary Zimmerman's The Secret in the Wings. Theater students have been hard at work all summer putting together design ideas and bringing student projects to life. And starting next week, they get to share them with you. Macbeth will run September 14th through 17th. The Jungle Book, September 29th through October 7th. Crazy for You, November 7th through 18th. And Secret in the Wings, November 10th through 13th. To purchase your tickets, contact the GTA box office today. I'm Viktoria Capek-Grey.
And I'm Marcus Etienne, and thank you for tuning in to this week's edition of
The Vanguard
News.
News.